Hello, my loves. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Dustina. This is Spiritually Boujee Astrology, and we're going to take a deeper look at the full moon eclipse that is happening in the sign of Pisces. Now, before I do any type of breakdown on this, I want to just do a quick little announcement. This announcement is specific to the people listening to this episode. I didn't mention it in the weekly episode. I will not mention again in the next weekly episode, but I am going to do a flash sale. If you did listen to the weekly episode, you all know already that there's a lot of transits this week that follow this eclipse. Like Monday was pretty light compared to the rest of the week. And a lot of it kind of generates an energy through the eclipse that's happening. So, what I'm going to do is if you book this week a one on one session with me, I'm going to actually do those for $25. That's even lower than my normal new client pricing. So, an hour-long session with me, if you've had one before, $25 is a steal. Y'all know that. If you've never had a session with me before, this is a great time to capitalize on that because I'm only going to run this special for this week. You have to book it by Sunday, the 22nd. If you try to message me next week or anything along those lines trying to get it, I'm not going to do it. So you have this week to book an hour-long one-on-one session with for $25. That is a flash sale that is specific to helping people. Now, you don't have to have it this week, but you have to at least get it booked. So, again, a $25 flash sale on my hour-long sessions. DM me, email me, whatever is going to work for you, and get that booked. Okay. Moving along. This full moon eclipse is going to be in the sign of Pisces. However, the nodes are not in the Pisces Virgo axis yet. They won't be until January of 2025. The nodes are still in Aries and Libra. Whenever it comes to any type of lunation, whether it's a new moon or a full moon, for it to be considered an eclipse, it has to be within 15 degrees of whatever node we're talking about. In this case, we're talking about the North Node. This full moon in Pisces will perfect at 11 degrees away from the North Node. Now, if I look at the idea of what Pisces represents for many people, it is an area of healing, hope, faith, restoration, reincarnation, letting go of the past and moving into something new. Full moons themselves usually have some level of completion or level up. And I do feel like there's going to be a lot of this energy that follows over the weeks ahead, especially this first week after the eclipse perfects. And the reason I say that is because I'm looking at the condition of the rulers of this eclipse. Neptune has been retrograde for quite a few weeks now, just about 2 months, if I remember correctly. I think it was the 1st of July, 1st or 2nd. Over the coming weeks, Jupiter is stationing. And on October 9th, Jupiter will turn retrograde. So there's something that is slowing down, something that is about to turn, something that is about to change, that is getting triggered in this eclipse. And it's not even an area of our life that we're focused on. It's not an area of our life that has dominance yet. It will. But because it's not an area of our life that has dominance, it's not an area we've been focusing on. And what I've said before is like once we got closer to this timeline, you can expect a shakeup in an area that we are not anticipating, that we're not necessarily thinking was going to happen. It wasn't a part of the plan. But we've had a major theme throughout the entire summer while Jupiter has been in Gemini, and that is the things that we thought we knew, that we thought to be true, we're starting to see the other side. There has been an expansion in knowledge. There's been an expansion in certain forms of communication. There's been an expansion in the things that we are touching and the things that we are dealing with and the things that we are connecting with. There's been an expansion in this area. And after so much knowledge about one particular person, about one situation, about this one area of life, after so much time, you can reach a bit of a completion. You can hit your high point and you can hit a turning point. And I feel like in the weeks ahead, following the shakeup of this eclipse, we'll see the turning point. Now, next month, we will have a full moon in Aries, but it will not be an eclipse. And I actually started warning about that earlier in the year. There will not be an eclipse at the end of the year. There will not be a full moon eclipse in Aries. We haven't had any full moon eclipses in Aries, which I think is interesting. But all we will have in Pisces is the full moon eclipses. Full moons, again, are completions or level ups. Over the next 2 years, we will have 2 more full moon eclipses in Pisces. And I actually have those dates for you guys. So for those that like to plan ahead, the next full moon eclipse will be September 7th of 2025. The third and final full moon eclipse will be August 27th of 2026. And that will also be an out of sign eclipse, but just barely. So what do out of sign eclipses do? They shake up the area. Now, this is actually going to be a shakeup before we're meant to focus on it, before we're going to have the gains towards it because it's North Node energy, before we're going to have the changes tied to it. So for a lot of people, there is a completion in the air over the weeks following this eclipse, especially between now and October 9th. Wherever we're making space, whatever wraps up, whatever is completed, again, we won't be focusing on a replacement of filling that void. We're making space. And in that moment of making space, we're also creating an energy to follow that leans towards healing, rejuvenating, finding hope and finding peace. How that looks for everyone individually is going to vary. For some people, there will be a lot of emotions that boil over to the surface over and over and over again, just a flooding of emotions. That's already been something that we've been dealing with in the month of September. And we've all seen it in some little way. Sometimes people just can't keep it together and they are far more demanding. They are far more explosive. They're just letting their things fly out of their mouth in ways that it shouldn't be flying out. They're becoming restless. And whenever they're not getting satisfaction, if they're not getting types of news, if they're not getting things fast enough, they blow up. They push too many buttons. They push too hard. Some people are getting pushed a little too hard in the current energy, and it's going to result in a turn. Now, I want to be clear. I don't feel like everybody's going to have an immediate turn. I feel like it's going to be something that happens over the course of weeks. That we'll feel something within ourselves turn towards an individual, towards a situation where we used to be so hopeful in this connection, felt so calm and secure in this connection. Now something has changed and we know too much to feel secure. Because the truth that we previously knew has turned out not to be the truth. There's been a shift in the knowledge. Jupiter in Gemini is said to be in its detriment. We know too much. We've gotten too close. And sometimes whenever we get too close to a situation, we do not have the ability to see everything clearly because we're only looking at the text that is in front of us. But really, if we could take a step back and look at the big picture from start to finish, you can connect other dots. But sometimes it's hard to do that when you're in the heat of the moment. I feel like a lot of people in this full moon need to take the step back. And you need to evaluate certain things. And you need to really consider the levels of decisions that are going on, because some of us, many of us, have our chart rulers in a place where we need key decisions to start to be made so we can transition into something different. Now, why do I say that? If you listen to the new moon in Virgo video, I talked about angular and cadence and succeedent houses. The majority of the signs, 8 of them exact, has their chart ruler now in an angular house, in a dominant house. Therefore, there's a dominant situation that needs to be rectified, that needs to be considered, that needs to be evaluated, that needs to be decided upon, that needs to be looked at, that needs to be worked through, overcome, fixed, satisfied. The majority of the signs are trying to actually deal with something hands-on. The rest of the signs, you're either dealing with the effects of something that's already occurred, or you're still in that moment of understanding. And I'll do a little bit more of that per sign whenever I'm doing the breakdowns. But a lot of people are dealing with something firsthand. You're either dealing with something in your relationships, you are looking at something that is going on within the family. Some of you, you are the volatile one, especially the Cancer risings with Mars in your first house. You're being pushy, you're being grouchy, you're being bitchy, you're being a lot. If you're Capricorn rising with Mars going through Cancer, a lot of you are dealing with things tied to other people. And you're questioning the validity, you're questioning certain commitments, you're questioning certain situations. The 2 dominant areas of the sky are the mutable signs and the cardinal signs right now. Something is brewing. And for us to be able to focus on whatever is brewing, in a lot of ways, we have other areas that need to be completed, other areas that need to have shakeups, other areas of our life where we need to make space, get something off of our plate. We're moving. Now, this full moon is going to perfect very closely to Neptune, but it won't be exact. And over the course of the rest of the week, the sun will actually come into an exact opposition to Neptune. One of the things I've said repeatedly over the course of the summer is please don't get caught lying. Don't lie. It's not going to help you. It's going to hurt you. Getting caught in lies can be detrimental. I was warning for a reason. Be truthful. Understand certain truths, because it will come back to bite you. We're getting into an energy now where we need to understand the bite. The lies are being seen, they're being recognized. The deception, the fraud, it's being recognized. And that can be something that also comes out in the energy around this full moon. Again, it does not happen to have to be the exact, but it is the energy around it. But there's a reason for this trigger. There's a reason for us to make space here. And that's because as we go through the next 2 full moons that'll happen in this area, we will have additional adjustments and additional changes. We have to make space for things that will come later. And what I've been picking up on my meditation forever now is that whatever starts to come through now, wherever we end something, wherever we are completing something, whatever we are leveling up in, this will still not become a big area of focus for us until springtime, when the North Node comes into Pisces. And really after Venus starts her stuff between Pisces and Aries. And that's a whole different conversation that we're going to have next year. This is a moment that for some people will be a blur. But for other people, it'll have significance. because something or someone getting caught in a lie, saying something to you that is a trigger, it's going to instigate healing, but it's a logical healing. It's a healing with awareness. So many people are leveling up here, and we're taking our consciousness to a higher level. So many of us are taking something up to a higher frequency based off of the full moon's energy and based off of Jupiter in Gemini. The words we are expressing are expanding. The ideas that we are having are expanding. There's more to do. There's more in the cards. There's more going on. And for us to truly understand the elements of that, we have to take a deeper, longer look in multiple directions. Mutable signs are bridges. They carry us from the core of a season and bridge us into the next season. The first day of Aries season is the first day of spring, but the last day of winter is the last degree of Pisces. We're bridging over something. We're moving over something. We're transitioning our focus. It'll take weeks for us to understand that transition, for us to fully level up into what we're leveling up into, for us to fully complete whatever we are completing, for us to fully turn in that direction, turn away from that person, turn towards that person, for us to have that internalized turn. It'll take weeks to understand. I don't feel like there's an immediate heaviness in this energy, but I do feel like there's going to be a lot of emotions of what people feel compelled to release, or feeling compelled to move away from, or feeling compelled to heal. And if you have these moments where you just can't get it together and you're just shaken to your core, there needs to be ideas of understanding. There's a logic to what you're feeling. And I feel like a lot of people are going to go through parts of this energy feeling like you're in a bit of a fog, feeling like you're on a bit of a cloud, until some other snap reaction comes through and takes you out of this mindset. There's a lot of internalized energy, but it's an internalized pull to make a change. And for a lot of people, that change is going to have major implications, because again, a lot of people's chart rulers are in angular houses. They're in dominant houses. For other people, you're either dealing with the effects, good or bad, or you are taking additional time to understand, good or bad. Okay. So for those that have never been a part of a new moon or full moon episode, that is okay. I read everything from a whole house system. What does that mean? I don't care if your ascendant is at 2 degrees or 22 degrees. The entire zodiac sign that your ascendant is in is your first house. And that's the way I look at it. Okay, so moving this along, we're going to get to Aries, and Aries rising. I'm just going to get the screen up here. Sorry. Had to do a little bit of a correction. Okay, boom. Now on the screen right here, it still says September 16th. That whole idea is that way the entire episode, everybody's going to have the moon in Pisces. So it's starting a day earlier on the screen, but this is, of course, is perfecting at 9:34 p.m. Central Standard Time on the 17th. So, okay. For Aries and Aries risings, this is a full moon in your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, and endings. The rulers, Neptune and Jupiter. Neptune has also been in your 12th house for over a decade now. But Jupiter is in your 3rd house of communication, short distance travel, siblings, There's a lot of learning that needs to be had. And for some of you, there needs to be some level of adjustment around the family. Now, why do I say that? Because Mars is in your fourth house of home, life, and family, your chart ruler. There's a disruption, there's changes, there's conversations about what we need to no longer be doing and what we should be looking at doing next, doing now. Over the last few weeks, there's been a lot of direction that has started to come through, as well as a lot of conversations and planning. Now, there's a lot of preparation that needs to happen. Some of you are ready for preparation. Others are not. You're not ready to take the steps forward because you want to be extra cautious, extra careful, extra sure. You will start to feel what you need to reduce, what you need to remove, what you need to release, what you need to let go of. You will. But it's going to take the entire lunar month. So between this full moon eclipse and then the full moon in Aries that will happen over the next month for you to feel more sure in those changes. There's internalized energy as well as external energy. There is a lot of internal emotions that can trigger the past and the things that you haven't wanted to face, as well as the new as to where you're going next. There can be things tied to work and routine. There can also be things tied to your health because the Sun and Mercury are still in Virgo. They're in your sixth house of health. Oh. All right. So let's take this off the screen. Okay. So we have a lot of things that can be unwound. Anytime you have 12th house transits, you can start to feel forgotten. You can learn about things that have been forgotten. You can be blindsided by certain things, but you can also feel the areas of life where we need to make cutoffs, where we need to make changes. And one of the big dominant themes that you guys are going to be dealing with over the course of the next year and a half, honestly, is going to be around family. But for you to understand exactly where we need to level things up in family, in the home life, within the ancestral line for some people, going all the way back to like roots and discovery for some people, but for others to understand like the home life that we wish to have, we're going to have disruption first. And we're starting to see the groundwork of that disruption. So there's a reason you guys aren't quick with wanting to make certain changes. So we have this Knight of Coins and we have the Strength card. The Knight of Coins is very slow moving. He does not rush into anything because he wants to be sure. He wants to be accurate. And there's a lot of sure energy that needs to happen mentally and emotionally before you're going to feel confident in some of the decisions that need to be made. But there are decisions that are getting made and there are preparations that need to be had. We have the Seven of Wands and we have the Four of Swords. There's a lot of preparation. There's a lot of planning. There's a lot of logic. There's a lot of conversations. There's a lot of things tied to mothers. There's a lot of things tied to the past. There's a lot of things that are meant to trigger ultimate levels of healing, whether that is the emotional healing or the physical bodily like healing. There's a lot of things tied to healing in this energy for you guys. And the awareness that will come through later will allow for a whole new form of you to come through. So there can be some weight in this. You can be blindsided. You can be discovering some things that you didn't know were going to be there. But there's a reason for those discoveries. It's so that way you can feel more confident, going back to that Strength card that we just had a minute ago, in the decisions that you're making next. And those decisions, Six of Wands, have a lot of confidence to them, a lot of success to them. The other thing is the Star card. There's still some things that have not fully come through. What I love about the Star card is this is the card that follows the Tower card in the deck. Things must crumble. Things must fall apart. Things must be left behind before the full elements of what comes through and what will follow will happen. And that's the star card. Before we can have that result, there are changes coming. And many of you are either having to push for those changes to happen, or you feel forced little by little to make certain changes that you weren't necessarily wanting to make, that you might not have felt ready to make. And if you haven't been feeling ready to make them, that'll also be something that changes over the lunar month ahead. So again, this full moon to the next full moon. But a 12th house full moon, there's blindsiding, there is completions, there is shakeup, and there is healing. And a lot of that healing, you need to voice, you need to communicate, you need to let some of these things out. You need to talk about what's been bothering you. You need to communicate with the other. And that's a big part of the energy too, with the others, with your loved ones. So that way you can feel, again, more confident in the game plans of what you're seeing change in your home life, within your family, within your health, within the health of another person. Okay. Moving along. All right. We're going to get to Taurus and Taurus risings. Ooh, went too far. Okay. Oh, my loves. Now, this is a full moon in your 11th house of friends, network, colleagues, clients, people that you choose to share your space with, where you donate your time. So sometimes humanitarianism, where you can volunteer, where you can be voluntold. I'm a big person that I tend to be voluntold a lot of times. I'll be honest about that. But your chart ruler, Venus, is in the 6th house of health, how you're caring for yourself, how you're caring for other people. So for a lot of you, what's going on right now can be shakeups at work, shakeups in your routine, shakeups in the things that you've been doing. Some of you might have to do with your kids. If it's not your kids, then it's the kids of another, of a friend, of a loved one. Some of you might be feeling like you're waiting on certain things to pan out with your clients, with your friends, and it's starting to impact your finances in ways that you weren't anticipating because again, Jupiter is slowing down. If things aren't working quite the way that you thought they were, I need you all to be prepared that you might be walking away from certain commitments soon. If you're not walking away completely, then you're finally overcoming something with certain commitments. And there's a lot of mental energy that's going to be challenging you moving forward. Oh, if we've had fears around money, I can understand that. If we have finally gotten to where we don't have fears around money, I can understand that too. It really kind of comes down to how we're doing with the decisions that we've made. Some people are doing great with their decisions. Some people, not so much. Where are you? This energy has so much internal that a lot of people are going to be working through their emotions. We have this moon card right here. So we're going to start with this one. Oh, leaving behind a friend, making a change in your work environment, going in a different direction because things aren't working as well for you financially with it, or the clientele is not working quite the same, or you just need to change something in your marketing, in your game plan. And if that's the case, again, we have certain decisions that need to be made. So that takes me to this Two of Swords energy. So we have the Moon card, we have the Two of Swords, and next we have the Five of Swords. For you to get certain things lined out for you, a lot of you are going to have to be convincing another person. And that's going to take some arguing. That's going to take some force. I need you to listen to me. I need you to hear me. I need you to hear out where I can go with this, what I can do next. But there can be a lot of conflict based off this Five of Swords energy. Now I'm going to keep this going. The next three cards is the Eight of Cups, the Ten of Wands, and the Strength card. If you have been feeling like you've been hitting your head against the wall nonstop with that Strength card and that 10 of Wands, you're not going to be hitting your head against the wall much longer. You're about to finally be able to overcome certain frustrations. Some of you. Others, you're going to realize that beating your head against the wall every single day is just you living the embodiment of insanity by doing the same thing over and over again. And you're going to have to realize with this Eight of Cups energy that some of you are going to have to walk away from the situation, walk away from a person, walk away from a certain connection because it's not doing you any good. Now, this is a full moon in the 11th house of friends. Some of you are going to have to walk away from certain people. You can't trust them the same way. You can't rely on them the same way. They're not helping you in the way that you thought was going to happen. They're not keeping their end of the deal. They're not keeping up with their word. And again, there's been a lot of writing on the wall up until this point. We just chose not to see it. We've been choosing to make, I almost said examples, but make excuses for the situation. Oh, it's going to get better. It's going to do great. We're going to be okay. We just got to get to this one point. We just got to get past this hump. We just got to get to our season. We just got to do this. We just got to do that. After a while, baby, we've just been doing all year long. Something's going to change. Now, for some of you, the changes aren't going to be your choices. They're going to be tied to another person. And maybe the person that you've always relied on in some way, especially in the work environment, they're not going to be there anymore because they got a promotion. They got let go. They left of their own accord. And that can have like that fear energy hit your body like, but I like my work wife. I like my work husband. I like this person. I like this teammate. I like this. And you're going to have to start all over again with another person. And as opposed to you being trained by that person, it's more along the lines of now you are trying to get somebody else up to your speed. And that's almost feeling like you're going to slow down. It happens sometimes. We have to get somebody else up to our speed. We have to find a vibration that's going to work. But expect turns between the way that you are connecting with certain people financially and certain people within money over the course of the next 3 to 4 weeks. And for some of you, that turn is going to be a deal breaker. Is it going to happen immediately? Not necessarily. But I do feel like for a lot of Taurus risings, over the course of the first half of Q4, so the fourth quarter, I feel like a lot of you are going to get to the point that you're being led and pushed to a point of having to leave something or someone behind. And I'm putting that emphasis in your mindset now, because if you're already starting to see the writing on the wall, then take slow steps in the other direction and make an exit strategy. Make a plan. You don't have to do it openly. Still got your same cards with that moon card and the Two of Swords, but a lot of you are going to have to make certain decisions to walk away with this Eight of Cups energy. A lot of you are going to be forced to make certain decisions to walk away. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get to Gemini and Gemini risings. Babies, I don't feel like you're the problem. I do feel like, though, you are starting to really consider what you want moving forward into the future. Now, I'm not saying that you haven't been focused on that in the meantime, but I feel like there's a very big adjustment in the way that you see elements towards the future after this energy. This is a full moon in your 10th house of career. Jupiter, the ruler of the full moon, is in your first house. But in addition to that, your chart ruler, Mercury, is in that 4th house of home life, and family. This eclipse is hitting you guys way harder than other people. And we've got different ideas of how we want to see our home life, how we want to see the future, where we go from here. And many of you are going to feel either like there's a promise to move towards something better and to move towards that better, we have to then recognize what we are letting go of and who we are leaving behind. While others are seeing the opportunities coming together. And we desire these opportunities. We desire this change. We desire these levels of inner happiness. Now, with Jupiter in your first, Jupiter is really expanding your mindset and expanding your hopes and putting a lot of focus from other people. Why do I say that? Because Jupiter rules your seventh house of relationships and partnerships and legal matters. But Jupiter also rules that 10th house of career and public image. There's a lot of focus on you. Even if you don't realize it, a lot of your decisions right now have a much bigger impact and a much bigger imprint than what would normally be there. So I feel like a lot of you are going to experience levels of change, especially over the next lunar month, that are going to completely change the way you see career, that are going to completely can change the way that you see your public image, the way that you see yourself succeeding, the way you see yourself in partnerships. And we're trying to make something happen. And to understand what we're making happen, we need to be focused on what we gain and not so much what we're losing. Next card that we have is this Justice card. What I love about the Justice card is this is the Libra card. Oh, we're about to go into Libra season. The next eclipse that will happen will be in Libra after this one. And that's your fifth house of love, luck, romance, joy, happiness, and children. For you to allow for certain things to come through for both external balance and internal balance, we need to be focused on the good and building from the good and not so much the wounds of the past. We need to let certain things go away. And that speaks to the rest of the cards. And your cards are beautiful, by the way. So we have the Magician card, which is a very mercurial card. We have this Knight of Coin energy. Then we also have the Two of Cups and the Six of Cups. So you can see this right here. Okay. The Magician card being mercurial, being this alchemist energy. Again, a lot of the energy right now, you can create your own path, which is great for people that want to go into the self-employment category. But you need to do things slowly. Knight of Coins. You can't do everything overnight. Okay, Gemini Sun to Gemini Risings. Instant gratification, not going to happen. You have to go slow. Baby steps, whether it's with the person, whether it's in business, does not matter. Baby steps. Allow for things to come together naturally when the energy allows them to happen naturally. So we have this Two of Cups. Yes, this is a Lover's card, but this is also two energies coming together, two bodies coming together, two companies coming together. Jupiter rules that seventh house of relationships, yes, but it's also partnerships, and partnerships are not always romantic. Some are financial. And you do have unfinished business with the financial side, given that Pluto is in that eighth house. You do have unfinished business in regards to legal matters. Jupiter's in the first, while Pluto's back in that eighth house. So understand that we have to go slow for certain things to happen. But once we allow for them to come happen, there is happiness that follows. There's a childlike energy that follows. There's a celebration energy that follows. There is success that can follow. Now, for some of you, you're like, I've been waiting on certain things to happen forever. And again, you can't make things happen and manifest faster than they're meant to happen. Now, be clear, some of you made some very big decisions in August in that Mercury retrograde in certain temporary energy, and that energy will end up coming back to bite you later. Whether that bite is a good bite, a little love nip, or a bad bite, and that's frustration, that is yet to be determined. But a lot of you are making very slow shifts into where you're seeing your career go, and I want you to be very aware of what you're signing, of what you're committing to, who you're committing to, who you have allowed back into your space, what you have allowed back into your space, because a lot of those things are going to get tested. throughout the rest of the year. Okay. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get to Cancers and Cancer risings. Y'all are trouble right now. Oh my goodness. Mars entered your first house, and so many of you, especially if you didn't have your natal Mars in Cancer, or you didn't have your natal Mars in like a water sign, like y'all ain't handling this very, very well. Mars makes you jumpy. It makes you reactive. It creates frustration. You are easily irritable in ways that you're not used to being irritated. You jump the gun in a lot of ways with Mars in your first house. Again, it makes you irritable. It also makes you accident prone. Again, those extra little bruises that keep popping up on the surface. Oh, get it together. This is a whole different level of energy for you guys. And you guys have to start working on centering yourself around that Mars and Cancer energy, because you got to remember, yes, you're in this for 2 months. You get a 2-month break, but then Mars will come retrograde back in here. And if you think this energy is hard now, then you ain't ready for January and February. You need to center on this energy, get your meditation in order, and find ways to gain control. Now, the other thing about Mars is Mars rules your 10th house of career. And a lot of you are really dealing with the frustrations tied to career. You're trying to get some things lined out. You have goals for where you want to go in the future. And there's a lot of new paths and new beginnings that you have the ability to lead forward with Mars in your first, if you would use this energy well. Right now, some of y'all are the problem. I'm just giving you shit and letting you know. As a Mars and Cancer person, but Mars being my chart ruler, sometimes I'm the problem. Y'all need to know right now, sometimes you're the fucking problem. Okay. Now, this is a full moon in your 9th house, higher education, higher learning, how you connect to source, how you connect to things in your spirituality. It can have a lot to do with institutions. To learn something, a lot of the times you go to an institution, you go to a building. But institutions don't just have to be schools. They can also be churches. They can be hospitals. A lot of things with 9th house, I've seen this have to do with different forms of institution, but also learning through different experiences. You are in the very beginning stages of something that's going to be very, very big for you. And I need you all to be, again, aware of your temper. Oh my God, your tempers. So many of you Cancer risings, you're feeling the frustration. You're feeling the stress. You're feeling the emotions. You're feeling the tension. You're feeling the need to break down. You're having a hard time holding it together. And I understand that Mars is in your first house, but if you harness that energy, you can use it very strongly for you in career. Making that as clear as I possibly can. Okay. So we have the Strength card. I feel like everybody's had the Strength card so far. This seems to be the card of the day. And we have the Ace of Swords. There can be new information, a decision that comes through around this full moon that's going to impact you. And there can be, again, a very big disruption now that Mars is in your first house. You can cause the disruption just as much as somebody else. Okay. Okay. Moving along. Given this 3 of Swords energy, this kind of takes me back to the fact that Pluto is back in your 7th house of relationships. And y'all need to be super cautious whenever it comes to certain people trying to come back around, because you have unfinished business tied to legal matters and commitments. And some of you, you're going to have some very hard lessons that still need to be learned tied to relationships, especially third-party situations that can also rely. It doesn't always have to be personal relationship, that can also relay, I almost said relay into professional relationships, and some of those things not going to plan. And not everybody's going to be prepared for that. You need to be very wary of who you're letting into your circle and keep a lot of things close to your chest with this 4 of Coins energy. Now, for some people, that can be like you're being too stingy and you're holding too much. I don't think you guys can hold too much right now. But I also don't think that you should be spending a lot either. You need to be careful with your money. You need to be careful with your assets. You need to be anticipating the disruptions around you and the tensions around you and the potentials of arguments, especially as Mars gets deeper into Cancer. Now, the next two cards that we have is the Temperance card and the Wheel of Fortune. There are certain things that need to fall in alignment. And this energy right here, this eclipse, can actually be very spiritual for you guys to allow internalized alignment to happen. And that's that Temperance card. The Wheel of Fortune, this is divine timing. We need to make space. We need to do the things to prepare for where we're going to have gains later. And for a lot of the cardinal signs, it's a year and a half later. Things that will start to unveil themselves and unfold over the course of the next year and a half. But for you to be able to be prepared for that, there's a lot of healing that is necessary. Now, in the most mundane sense, this eclipse energy, we can be traveling, working through travel plans, ending a travel plan, looking at going on vacations in some place we've never been before, just as much as we can be looking at institutions, because Jupiter, the ruler of this full moon, is in your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, and endings. But there can also be things that lead to levels of isolation, whether that is self-isolation or forced isolation. You're getting cut off from certain people. Both have a potential, but all of them are meant to make you level up over the course of the next 6 months, because the majority of the next 6 months, Mars is going to be in your first house. So he's testing you. He's pushing your buttons. He's making you address bigger things, especially big picture things. For you to understand that, there is learning in the moment with the full moon in the 9th. There's so much shifting your direction. But for you guys, especially, you can harness control over this situation. Many of you, you've made the decisions that have put you in your current situations. And then sometimes we get to the point that we're like, oh, well, how did I get here? You chose this. You made this turn. You flipped in this direction. So you have to deal with the results of that. You got to deal with the consequences of that. You got to deal with the next step. And for a lot of you, a lot of the next steps are going to be changes in the home life, changes within the family, because the next eclipse that will happen on October 2nd will be in your 4th house of home, home life, and family. You have to make the adjustments as necessary. Okay, moving along. We're going to get to Leos and Leo risings. Oh, my loves. Okay. This is a full moon eclipse in your 8th house, which is a financial house. How you deal with other people's money, where you are investing your money, how you make money from other people, whether that's rental properties, whether that's having to do with, again, your career or something along these lines. You can also have unexpected tax bills that come through, audits that come through. A lot of energy tied to this 8th house. And for some of you, I don't feel like it's going to be a complete surprise, especially whenever it comes to the shared assets and shared finances of whatever you've been doing with another person. There's something that you're definitely not prepared for that's going to start to shake and quake in this energy. And it might take a few weeks to a few months for some of you for this to make complete sense. And I need to be clear about that. Now, Jupiter itself, the ruler of this eclipse, is in your 11th house of friends and network and clients and colleagues. There are some of you that are getting close to another person that you're starting to realize, like, the closer you are to them, the more they are starting to change in front of you. The closer you get to them, the more you're starting to change. And that could be a good thing, but for others, not so much. Depends on the level of change and what's being triggered as we go through this eclipse, as we go through the energies around eclipse season. Many of you are going to have to deal with some financial elements, and you're going to feel called to make certain very harsh decisions to cut some people off. Jupiter will turn retrograde October 9th in your 11th house of friends. Others are going to feel like you're getting cut off, especially with financial situations. So, not that different from Taurus risings in that regard. Many of you can feel like for you to have certain things move forward, you have to have this shift either with your coworkers or within your clients, and adjust the marketing plan, adjust the communication, adjust the branding, because if you don't make the adjustment, then you're going to suffer financially from it. And sometimes that requires some decisions. Other people have hope and they have promise and they have luck on their side. They just have to look at the opportunities coming through and determine whether they're accepting the right things as they are presenting themselves, especially if you have a job opportunity come through. Okay. The cards are really promising for you guys. I will say that much. But we have the 4 of coin and we have the 2 of coin. Some of you are going to have to be very stingy with certain types of money, or you're going to be very hesitant because you're getting hit by something that, again, is impacting you financially. So it can either be like deals not working out appropriately, or having some additional financial element coming through, like a tax audit or an extra tax bill or something along these lines, with the eclipse in your 8th house. And we have to make certain financial changes. That means tightening up our belt a little bit. And that's that 4 of coin energy. But we also have this 2 of coin energy that speaks again to certain levels of decision. And again, we have this scale element coming through. The next eclipse that's going to happen after this one is going to be the Libra eclipse. Libra is represented by the scale. So we have these things that require us making the right decision in the balancing act. And this now takes me back to the fact that Jupiter is in your 11th house of friends. And one of the things I have been repeating to you guys over and over and over again is that while Jupiter is in that 11th house of friends, all of the year of Jupiter being here, so that's May of 2024 to June of 2025, y'all got lessons between knowing the difference between friends and lovers. Some of y'all didn't listen, and you know it. And you made certain decisions to go in certain directions, thinking that, oh, I've got all this happiness that can happen. 9 of Cups and 10 of Cups. I have all this happiness that can happen. All these possibilities if we build the right foundation. And you're not wrong. But some of you are still not building the right foundation. And you don't want to accept that yet. You're not realizing that quite yet. But it will be something that starts to be coming into the forefront after Venus goes into Scorpio. And we start to bring things to the forefront and settle up things in the family and settle up things within the household and put some things together. And you will find yourself over the weeks ahead truly questioning 4 of Cups. Not sure if I've already showed this one yet, but that 4 of Cups, whether you've taken the right steps forward, if you've accepted the right opportunities, or if you've missed out on something. Some of you are going to be really happy in the moment. And I want you to be happy. I do. But I also know that with Mars going through your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, and endings, there are certain decisions and certain elements of what you're doing that you're not going to see the other side until later, until there's additional stress and pressure that's been put onto you. And I hate to say that. I want Leo risings to have good energy and I want everybody to have good energy and have good things going through. But I know the testing in the energy. And in the moment, it can feel happy and hopeful and helpful. And yeah, it's going to be so great. But then a few months from now, you're going to be like, why did I make this decision? And you're going to have to live with the decisions that you've made. You're going to have to live with the opportunities that you've taken. And some will have regret. Some will have moved and question, why did I make this move? Why was this the right way to go? Why was this the right thing to do? You will question it. And I am verbalizing that now because you're going to have the nerve to be surprised later. I just know it. I know you guys are. Be like, no, I was supposed to be great. The whole next, all the way until April, like all the way till April, is this one test after another after another. And ironically enough, eclipse season is the lighter of the tests compared to what's going to follow. So make the moves, make them cautiously, make them smart. Make smart decisions, is what I'm saying. Don't let your ego get in the way because your overzealous nature can take over. And then later on, you can have repercussions from that. So again, I'm telling you, things that are meant to work out right now can be tested later. Things that are not working out for you right now have a purpose. It's because the space isn't ready. That energy is not ready. You're not ready for it. And I'm warning you guys. Okay, moving along. Moving along. We're getting to Virgos and Virgo risings. Oh my goodness. This is a full moon eclipse in your seventh house of relationships and partnerships and legal matters. There's a lot going on for you guys. A lot of things going on. And I know you guys are feeling it. I know you guys are going through it and dealing with it. And you're super busy and you're super flustered with everything that is going on and all the additional things that keep hitting your plate. And I get it. Okay. So this is a full moon in your seventh house of relationships, partnerships, and legal matters. A lot of this is going to be a change in a partnership. And that partnership for many of you can have to do with a career partnership. Now, why do I say that? Because Jupiter, the ruler of that seventh house of relationships, is in your 10th house of career and public image. There's a shift that's very, very public around you guys. And some of you are dealing with some consequences that you didn't anticipate. Some of you are feeling parts of yourself break away from you in ways that you weren't anticipating. You are feeling the changes, the stress, the frustration in ways that you weren't anticipating. Because it feels like every time you turn around, something else is revealing itself to you. Sometimes that's a good thing. Other times it just feels like you're in a continuous toxic pattern with another person that doesn't want to make a change. There's a reason why I keep saying that toxic pattern. It has to do with one of the cards that came out. It was actually the first card that came out, and we'll get to that here in just a second. Oh, the partnerships that are in question, the decisions that you are making right now, is for many of you going to either, again, be a completion or a level up. And over the weeks ahead, you will finally come to terms with some level of a completion that needs to happen. And also the amount of public change that needs to follow. And for a lot of people, that's going to be a good thing. For other people, not so much. So let's talk about that toxicity card. The first card that came out for you guys was the Devil card. The next one that came out was the Death card. And the one that followed that was the Ace of Cups. We have to allow for certain toxic breaks to happen, certain weighted, frustrating mistakes to happen, to allow for change and transformation and new beginnings to follow. And one of the things I said at the intro of this episode is the eclipse energy. We make space in an area that will probably not have any type of gains or momentum again until the springtime. And that's because a lot of healing needs to happen with that Death card. As you go through breakups, as you break away from toxic business partnerships, as you're moving away from certain situations tied to other people. And the thing about the seventh house is it's anybody and everybody else. It's me, it's your high school bully, it's the milkman, it's the mailman, it's your spouse, it's your business partner. It is other people all the way around. Wherever we have to make a change to break away from one thing, it is going to require some level of healing with that Death card before new things can follow with the Ace of Cups. Now it takes me back to the next three. All right, we have the Page of Wands, we have the Mood card, and we have the Judgment card. Okay. There are certain things that need to get revealed with that Moon card, things that you still are not privy to, things that you're still not seeing clearly. And that Page of Wands is either going to be coming through with a specific message, getting served with papers, getting served some type of notice. Here's a lien, here's this, you're required in court, you're being summoned. There's some type of message that needs to come through with this Page of Wands that is going to kind of instigate a boom forward, light a fire under your ass in some type of way. But with the Judgment card, there is a harsh decision that's going to follow. Now, for some of you, you have to make the harsh decision. Mercury, your chart ruler, is also in your first house. But Mercury also rules that 10th house of career. Some of you are going to feel like you are getting judged by another person, and it is going to result in a shift in commitment, especially things that have, again, a public aspect to them with Jupiter in the 10th, or a career aspect to them because Jupiter is in the 10th. There is a directional shift that is really falling into place for the mutable signs. And the way that you have been seeing the image of your future and your career path, for many of you, some plan is going to have to change. You had this one envisionment, but you hadn't bought the building yet. Now that you have the building, this plan has to alter because the space is tangible. And to make this work, we have to make it fit within the tangible space. For some of you, you're going to be feeling like you're getting judged by someone in your workplace, and it can trigger fear and trigger insecurity. And over the course of the weeks ahead, it could feel like some things are just not falling into place for you. Given the eclipse axis is still in your financial houses, that might mean that we have something new that starts to come through financially. And first we have to make space before that new can come through. So be aware of this energy whenever we're going through it. Be aware of the weight in the energy as we're going through it. There's a lot of shifts in direction. And for many of you, it's got a public aspect. So whether it's having to do with relationship or, some big change in regards to what you're doing in your business or anything along these lines, there is a shift in the direction. Okay. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get to Libras and Libra risings. Okay, my loves. Oh, this is a full moon eclipse in your 6th house of health. How you care for yourself, how you care for other people, what you do in your routine while you have Mars going through your 10th house of career. A lot of you have a shift in work going on, a shift in the future that is going on, a shift in your public image that is starting to brew that many of you are not prepared for. And it's going to be a long 6 months. Now, Venus, your chart ruler, is in the 1st house. Some of you are feeling oh so good, and you have no idea what's coming. You don't necessarily understand the repercussions of what's going on. You don't understand the implications of what's going on. You're just seeing some bright new beginning and some path start to unfold. And for many of you, it is going to be a good path. However, for some of you, not so much. And one of the things I've been warning on with you guys in particular is that many of you are creating your own undoing. That's going to be something that's going to be a lot more heightened and tightened over the next lunar month. And for many of you, something is going to change in regards to partnership because of it. And again, you're creating your own undoing. You're pushing for a change that you didn't realize that you were pushing for. You are testing certain areas and certain boundaries and certain waters that you didn't even realize the river had flowed into, and just how rapid this change is going to be. Some of you know You know for a fact that you're not going to continue working in a certain space. You know, you're making an active decision of like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I'm going to go in this other direction. I'm going to do this other thing. You know, you've made an active decision to go in a different path. And what I love about the Two of Wands is we're always in one path and one idea, but then another opportunity can come through and we always have to choose. Do we go the path we know or do we go on the other direction? With the Fool card and the Two of Wands, a lot of you are starting to go in a new direction and there can be a lot of hope in that energy. However, not everybody's in the hopeful part. And let's talk about the rest of that. Oh, with the Five of Cups, there are sometimes that we can look at where we're going next and the opportunities that we're building, and we want to completely forget the past. And in some ways, I would normally say that's exactly what this card needs to be, is like we need to focus on the good and not so much of the past. But I've also seen a lot of things with Libra risings. And I have also seen y'all have created a lot of your own messes. And I need y'all to be prepared. Just because you're focused on how good something can be does not mean that the past just goes away. It doesn't. And there can be some things that come back full circle based off of the buttons that you push with others. So we have this Wheel of Fortune energy and the Queen of Wands. Oh, following that Five of Cups. Now, for some of you, you feel like time is on your side. You have so many things that are working in your direction, and you have a new path that is starting to unfold. And it feels like it has a lot of promise. Your last card here is this Ten of Cups energy. It feels like it has a lot of hope and a lot of promise because it sounds so good. And we are focused on only the good, the top half of that Five of Cups, the cups that we still have that still have things in them. Many of you, though, are not focused on what you are leaving behind and the mess you have left behind with the Three of Cups energy. And I keep picking up for Libra risings. That's going to come back around. As much as you hate to hear it, it's going to come back around. Now, in the most mundane sense and the most instant sense, can you go through this full moon and feel like everything is going to be great? Absolutely. I mean, you got the Ten of Cups. You got that Fool card. You have this Queen of Wands ready to blaze her own trail. Again, Mars is in your 10th house of career. So we have opportunity. We have a direction. We have a path. And again, we are creating something in this energy. But that time element of the Wheel of Fortune is things will only be good for so long. They will only be solid for so long. And then there will be things that lead to undoings. If you're having a good eclipse, enjoy the moment. If you're having a good eclipse. If you're having some type of shift and frustration that forces you down another path, go down that other path. But understand that path, you can't completely see clearly yet. And there will be tests along the way. I can't deny that because I know what Mars is going to do. I know what happens Q4 and Q1 of next year. And everybody is going to be going through some levels of test. Eclipse season just happens to be the lighter of the tests between now and springtime. And by the time we get to April, it's going to be a whole different window and a whole different ball game, whole different commitments and whole different connections. But between now and then, we have a lot of things that need to unfold, be addressed, and come through. If you're feeling solid in the moment, please enjoy the moment. Just also don't go into something blind. Take note. Listen to those idiosyncrasies. Listen to the things that people are saying. It will help you. Okay, moving along. Moving along. We're going to get to Scorpios and Scorpio risings. Babies, babies, babies. We are not on deck. We are not the problem. We are not the problem child. All we are doing is waiting. So much of this is like we're in the support mode. We are allowing certain things to unfold around us, allowing certain things to unfold that we are not in charge of, we are not in control of. For many of us, we are just learning. We are experiencing something that we haven't experienced before. Now, why am I saying that? Because both of our chart rulers, Pluto and Mars, are in the third and ninth house. They're in that area of the sky that is that cadent energy. So we need to understand. There are still things that are unfolding around us that we need to understand. We're learning. We're learning through watching others and their actions and their way of doing things. We're learning in the moment and experiencing things. Now, for some of us, it's travel, planning travel, going on some kind of trip, going somewhere we've never been before. Big possibility in the energy. A full moon in that fifth house of love, luck, romance, joy, happiness, and children. It's got promise to it. It's going to help us see some potential of something in the future, but it's also asking for us to let go of old toxic problems, let go of old situations, let go of old connections. And that's actually a big part of eclipse season for us. We need to understand certain things and again, pursue new truths, new ideas, make certain decisions that are going to impact balance. Oh, for a lot of Scorpio risings, I feel like we're testing the boundaries of relationships. We're testing the boundaries around children, around kids in particular, around our loved ones, but also testing the boundaries around luck. And for many of us, we're going to have to decide who is worth letting in and who we're going to have to let go of. And that's going to be a big part of the energy through eclipse season because the next eclipse is going to be in the 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, and endings. So again, we have something for a lot of people that's going to result in some endings soon. Oh, but it has to be shaken up first. So let's start with this Devil card, this Two of Coin, and this Knight of Swords. Certain things are going to have to come to a completion. And with that Devil card, we need to let go of toxic patterns where we've allowed another person to control elements of our life that does not deserve control, where we have made space for certain people that should not be sharing our space anymore. This Devil card is speaking to we need to let go of certain toxic connections. This is a full moon in the fifth house of love, luck, joy, romance, happiness, and children. We need to let go of old toxic connections that we've had a hard time letting go of. And that requires making certain decisions in that balancing act energy. Where is the better place to put my focus? And the better place to put your focus is in self-love, self-care, personal happiness. And not everybody's going to like that truth whenever you decide to tell them, hey, yeah, this isn't working for me. I don't want to talk to you no more. I don't want to be around you no more. I don't really want to do that. They're not going to like that decision. But the things that start to come from there afterwards, you will, one, be able to harness more of allowing more control over what you have. And again, who we allow to share our space with the Four of Coins. The next two cards that come out are quite beautiful. It's the Four of Wands and it's the Ten of Cups. We have a desire for stability. What I love about the Four of Wands is I think about the chair legs. We want all four chair legs solid on the ground before we put our ass on the seat, or else we're going to fall over. We want stability. There's so much stability that can be built after this energy unfolds, but we have to make the space first. We have to let go of that toxic connections to find our stability and find happiness. So many Scorpio risings, you guys have been struggling with Saturn in the fifth, the weight and the pressure of Saturn. You don't know how to work with it. And so many of you, you work against Saturn, like, no, if I do it this way, I'll be happy. If I go in this direction, it'll be better. And really and truly, if you would just work with Saturn and what he's doing, you would be happy. But you keep wanting to hit your head against a brick wall. And you're repeating that pattern of fighting the inevitable, of staying in la la land, of staying something delusional. You're creating a repeat pattern of pain. And that's not going to be fun. That's not going to be easy. to find happiness, to work past the pain, to work through what you need to work through next. You're going to have to let go of certain toxic connections. For you to be happy, you have to let go of the people that are making you question whether happiness is even an option. And after you make the space, we start the healing process. And that's going to go more into that Libra eclipse that's going to happen on October 2nd. Okay. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get to Sagittarius and Sagittarius risings. Oh, my loves, my loves, my loves, my loves. This is a full moon in your fourth house of home life, family, roots, ancestry, things within the family, genetics. A lot of times people don't like to talk about the fourth house and genetics, but it is a genetic thing. You inherit a lot of things from your family that's not tangible. It is, in fact, genetic. Okay. Your chart ruler, Jupiter, is in your seventh house of relationships and partnerships and legal matters. From May of this year till June of next year, a lot of your focus is on other people. A lot of what you're having to deal with is tied to other people. It is tied to legal matters. It is tied to relationships. It is tied to another side, whether you like it or not. For some people, that is so frustrating. And every time something happens, it just lets you know even more like, I didn't need to be in this situation ever. But it's also letting you know what you need to change within yourself. Is helping you find a way to adjust these things internally within yourself to find personal happiness. There's a pursuance that's going to change and adjust. And for you to have a happy home and a happy life, it requires you to make a decision that many of you have struggles with making. And for some of you, that decision has to do with career. Why is that? Because Mercury and the sun are still in that 10th house of career. The next eclipse that's going to happen is going to be in your 11th house of friends, network, clients, colleagues, people that you choose to share your space with. Whatever is starting to change between you and another because of that legal matter, because of what's going on in your family, what's going on in your partnership, whatever starts to change in this area is going to impact a whole other group that you haven't let know was going to be impacted quite yet. And that's because Venus in the next eclipse is in that 11th house of friends. So there's a whole lot of this energy that speaks to where we're going next. And a lot of you are going to have to make some very hard decisions. Two of Swords. Now, the thing about the Two of Swords is that in the traditional deck, this is a woman that is blindfolded holding the swords. We haven't made the decision yet. We haven't chose to remove the blindfold and pick which sword is going to be better. There's a decision that must be made, and it is tied to either a legal matter, it is tied to another person, it is tied to a commitment, it is tied to the family, it is tied to the family home, it is tied to mothers and matrons. There is a decision that has not been fully committed to quite yet, but it is on the horizon. And once it is made and we find this level of internal balance around it with this Temperance card, there will be a lot more things that have to follow, things that speak to, again, personal happiness with the Knight of Cups, but also how we find a better ground from the past. We have to let go of some things. And I know for Sagittarius risings, the last 4 or 5 years have had a whole different kind of stress whenever it's come to control issues around your money, whenever it's come to things around your career, when it has come to the hidden things that nobody wants to talk about, that has gone on behind the scenes and all the frustrations tied to that. But the thing is, by finally accepting the levels of healing that need to be had, we're going to finally be able to let go of some of those toxic patterns from the past with this Three of Swords, the depression, the frustration. By trusting the potential with another, it's going to help overcome certain fears. And there's a lot of give and take that needs to happen in any type of relationship with the Six of Coins. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. I listen to your love language. You respect mine. I do the things that are going to make you feel secure in the relationship, and I need you to do the same things for me. There's a reciprocation that needs to be established, that needs to be talked about, that needs to be voiced. And if we can find the right middle ground with that other side, with that other person, with that business partnership, with whatever we're dealing with Jupiter in the seventh, happiness can follow. And I really like this eclipse energy for you guys, especially with this 10 of coin energy. Happiness can follow. But notice this is the 10 of coin and not just the 10 of cups. So it's abundance, it's prosperity, there's longevity, foundations that can be good for a lifetime, but not just your lifetime, but the lifetime of others, that can go beyond just a moment. And there's a lot of promise that could be had. But for us to have this promise work out the way that we desire, we have some changes that need to be done, decisions that need to be made. And for many of you, it's decisions in the household, it's decisions within the family. For others, it is a decision around another person. And whenever we make this commitment and we make this decision, it's going to change the way we see our goals. It is going to change the way we see elements of the future. And it's going to be something that eventually you're going to have to tell your friends. You're going to be talking to other people about it. I'm going into this business. I'm starting this new venture. I'm going in this direction. That's great. I met a girl. I met a guy. That's great. But eventually, it's going to be something that you end up telling your friends, talking to your friends about, telling other people. It's not a bad thing for you guys, just to be clear. Okay. Moving along. For our Capricorns and Capricorn risings, my loves. Oh, this is a full moon in your third house, which is a communications house. Your chart ruler, Saturn, is in the third house, which is a communications house. It is a learning house. It's a travel house. Some of you are having to do some extra travel. You're having to do some extra things, either for yourself, for the kids, whatever we're having to deal with. There is something that is going to change and adjust certain people that we do not see the same way, that we don't wish to talk to in the same way. And we're going to have certain decisions that we have to make in this area. Given that Mars is in your seventh house of relationships, a lot of you are trying to decide who you're willing to talk to and commit to moving forward. Mars can cause a lot of relationship issues whenever it's going through the seventh, and I'm making everybody very, very clear about that. And considering most of the next 6 months, you're going to have Mars in your seventh house of relationship. Anything that's starting to unfold right now when it comes to relationships or commitments or anything along these lines, oh, they're going to get tested later. They're going to be tested majorly. So for many of you, you're either learning in the moment or you're teaching another person in the moment, especially because immediately following this eclipse, your chart ruler, Saturn, is going to go through an opposition with Mercury. And that feels like teaching from experience, expressing something from experience. But it can also have things that aim to get us in touch and put us in alignment with something tied to health. Now, why do I say that part? Jupiter is in your sixth house of health. Jupiter rules where this eclipse is. Neptune does too, but Jupiter is in a detrimental place. And for you guys, it can have to do with your health, your work, your routine. It can have to do with the health of another person and what you're doing to help them either get through their situation, their relationship problems, while also still working towards bettering yours. You got the Tower card. I'm going to be clear about that. But it came out when I was talking about Mars in the seventh. So for some of you, that's going to impact an actual relationship. For some of you, that is how you're helping another person deal with their relationship, deal with their health issues, deal with their matters, given the entry of that Tower card. So I'll show you guys that here in a minute. And of course, you get the Star card. So the thing about Mars in Pisces, not Mars in Pisces, I'm sorry, Saturn in Pisces, your chart ruler, is I've been saying this to you guys for a while. You have to learn to overcome certain things. There's a healing element to Saturn in Pisces. You've needed lessons towards healing. You've needed energy to communicate differently. And now that's like that lesson is hitting a whole different level with an eclipse in your third house. The people that you connect with can be very pivotal in their actions and in their roles with you. And I want to put positive emphasis of Mars in that seventh house, just as much as I'm going to be realistic about the negative emphasis of that energy. Many of you are making certain connections with other people that are going to help you next in career. But wherever you're going next in career, that's going to have a lot of ups and downs. It's going to be a roller coaster once we get there. However, for a lot more of you, you are teaching in the moment. You're expressing certain lessons. You're talking to your kids. You're talking to your loved ones. You're getting as much as you can put together to give them guidance and give them the support to move in a new direction. And this takes me to this Magician card. Within 24 hours of the eclipse, Saturn hitting that opposition to Mercury is the one thing that keeps popping out at me. So many of you are going to be in a place of speaking from experience while also teaching somebody else something that they've never learned before. And this Magician card speaks to that. And many people have to recognize when they need to leave certain things behind. And that takes me to these next two cards, this Tower card and the Seven of Swords. The Seven of Swords is a betrayal card. It's literally sneaking out the window, getting stabbed in the back. It really puts more emphasis of what Mars and Cancer is going to represent for a lot of people. There's a lot of tests and frustration that are specific to relationships with Mars and Cancer. And that's going to come through with this Tower card and the Seven of Swords. Some of you are helping another person get through their shit, get over rough points, work through the diligence, work through their relationships, work through certain emotional issues. And this speaks to that. But just as much as this can be another person, this can also be your relationship. Pluto is back in your first house. So it's taking us back to that old drawing board. But I do feel like for a lot of you, you've mastered Pluto in the first. He's been there since 2008. If you ain't mastered it by now, dear Lord, we got a whole different set of issues. But many of you have mastered Pluto in the first. And you are in a position where you can help other people work through the detriment, work through the frustrations, and work through certain situations by explaining your experience to them. But beyond that, there can also be those tests to your relationships. And this Tower, Seven of Swords can be your guys' personal relationships just as much as it can be you helping another person get through their situation. Now, what follows the Tower card in the tarot deck is the Star card. It is the very next card. So once we get through the frustration, we get through the tension, we get through the toxicity, we get to the things that are breaking us down, there is another energy that follows. There's an awakening that follows. There is healing that follows. There is a breakthrough that follows. For some of you, you will be in the breakthrough. You will have a breakthrough by helping that person just as much as you can have a breakthrough about what you do next in your relationship and in your personal commitments. Now, if it comes down to partnership, this takes me to these next two cards. Some of the people that are starting to come through for you with Mars in your seventh are pivotal for you because that next eclipse on October 2nd is in your 10th house of career. Career, goal, public image, where you're meant to shine. And for many of you, where you go next has so much promise and so much opportunity, especially financial opportunity that can follow. We have to lean in to the connections that are being made, even if they're being made by a Mars person. It doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. Mars is either pivotal or chaotic. If you are going through pivotal Mars and Cancer, then you're making very pivotal relationships and connections right now that have major financial gains that can happen over the course of the next 6 months. And I do mean 6 months. Okay. Okay. Moving along, moving along. We're going to get to Aquarius and Aquarius risings. Oh, my loves, my loves, my loves, my loves. Now, this is an eclipse in your second house of money, your assets. But it can also be tied to other people's money because Mercury and the Sun are both in the eighth house. So we can be having a lot of financial conversations. Now, Jupiter, the ruler of this eclipse, is in your fifth house of love and luck and joy and romance and happiness and children. We're talking about child support. That's a very easy one. Kids and money. Are we having to split the financial bills, the medical bills of some sort with another person? Big possibility. Considering again the stuff that's going through your money houses. Well, Jupiter's in that fifth house of children, but also I'm including now that Mars is in your sixth house of health. That's disrupting your routine, but that can also be disruptions in health, and it doesn't always have to be your health for it to be a disruption in health. Just to be clear on that. Now, one of your chart rulers, Saturn, is in your second house of money. So again, financial stuff. While your other chart ruler, Uranus, has been in your fourth house of home life, and family since 2018, and I don't have any charge of that. But he is ready to wrap some things up over the course of the next year and a half to 2 years. And for us to get closer to that wrap-up period, there's some things that have to, again, change in the household, change within the family, change around others. And I need you guys to be very, very prepared for the week, for the rest of the week that follows this eclipse. Because something in your surroundings, I think, can have a bit of a tornado effect, Aquarius risings. So I'm warning you of that. And you might have a different need for certain members of your family to help you out with the kids, to help you out in certain situations. Because you're going to have something pop up that was very unexpected that you have to take care of immediately. For some of you, you're going to be the family member that gets called. Can you take Johnny? I've got something going on and I just can't do it. And then again, we're back to this moment of like, oh, okay, well, I guess if you don't have anyone else that can do it, I guess I can help. But there's a lot of things that speaks to finances and learning in the moment and dealing with something tied to other people and very big disruptions to the routine in the household. And for many of you, there's a blindsiding energy to it because Pluto is back in Capricorn. Now, you have dealt with Pluto in your first majority of this year. He moved in January and he stayed there until the 1st of September. And we do have some unfinished business tied to the 12th house, that unknown, the unseen, and endings, secrets. And over the course of the next few months, that's going to get wrapped up. But once the secret element is done, Pluto is going to come back into your first, and he's really going to make you level up and change as an individual completely. Now, sometimes Pluto in the 12th is going to force you to heal, and I'm making you aware of that. And the people, again, that you surround yourself with will help you a lot in how you get over elements of healing. But I feel like there's a lot more things that are going on around you guys, like a whirlwind energy. I'm starting to feel like that whirlwind that really instigates in this eclipse. And even though this eclipse isn't in a dominant area, it's the energy that follows that starts to hit the dominant areas. That's going to impact the way you see certain things in regards to the future. Again, impact you financially and impact different things around the family. So we have the Three of Wands, we have the Six of Coins energy. The Three of Wands, again, that's surroundings. There's stuff going on in your surroundings. The Six of Coins is that, again, that reciprocity energy. We need to take account of another person while also taking account of ourselves. And many people are dealing with the back and forth energy of who's covering what financially around the kids, because Jupiter is in the fifth house of children. But not everybody is having to deal with kids. Some people are dealing with lovers. And again, the financial elements of whether we would do something to help a lover, help a loved one. The King of Coins and this not Two of Coins, but this Page of Coins, we've got a Two of Coins, I just haven't got to it yet, follows it. So with so many people coming into the mix, the kids, Page of Coins, that King of Coins, That can be your guys' energy, but I don't feel like it is your energy. I feel like for a lot of you, it's going to be having to deal with another person and trying to find the balancing act between everybody with this Two of Coins energy to get some things overcome very, very quickly. I again need you guys to be prepared for the week that follows the eclipse. The eclipse is one thing, but the emotional frustration, the turmoil, the shocks to the system, the shakeups that start to impact the body, those things that can follow can have the whirlwind effect. And there can be some things that land on your plate that you were not anticipating. In fact, in many ways, you were against ever having anything to do with any of it. And then again, things just fall onto your plate. You don't have any control over the matter. So be prepared for those things as they start to work through. But I feel like in the moment, the most mundane sense, it's like paying something off, buying something, finishing something, again, that can be just all financial stuff. It can have something to do with kids. It can have to do with household. But what I get with you guys is like there's a whirlwind with that Chariot card, especially that Chariot and the Three of Wands. But there's going to be something that impacts your surroundings very, very quickly, that pushes something onto your plate that for many of you is going to be very, very blindsiding. So I want you guys, especially in the week following this eclipse, to be prepared for something unexpected, an unexpected call, unexpected connection, an unexpected hit in some way that's going to have a bigger effect to where you have to lean into another side and lean into another person. Okay. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get to Pisces and Pisces risings. Oh, my loves. You okay? You doing okay over there? How's Saturn in the first been? I know it sucked for a lot of you. Many of you are not doing well with it. Oh, an eclipse in your first house before the nodes change signs is going to put some attention, strain, stress, recognition, a level up of some sort on you as an individual. One that you guys aren't necessarily prepared for. You aren't prepared for the level of frustration. You haven't been necessarily prepared for being called on your shit. You haven't been prepared for that additional level of stress. But considering the ruler, your chart ruler, and the ruler of this eclipse is in that fourth house of home life, and family, many of you are going to be taking on some additional stress, some additional frustration, and it's going to have to do with the home life. It is going to have to do with the household. It is going to have to do with learning some lessons in the moment. It is going to be the start of a new chapter that you weren't anticipating and can create a lot of frustrations moving into the future. Again, a lot of unplanned things. There is some energy, especially right the morning of the eclipse. So this is talking about Tuesday morning when the moon and that overnight hours of Monday into Tuesday, the moon hit the opposition to Mercury, but then it hit that conjunction to Saturn. And then later in the evening, the eclipse actually perfects. There can have been some type of weight or judgment or frustration that either you had to push onto another person because Pluto's now back in your 11th house of friends, or you felt from another person some level of judgment, weight, or responsibility that you were not anticipating. And it can have to do with, again, a legal matter, financial matter, something that connected to the family. Oh, something about your personal success and the way people see you, as well as certain decisions that need to come to light that need to be made about like things going on in work or health, something along these lines. Okay. Let's get into the cards. So you guys actually have an extra card. Just so we have the Fool card. We have this Page of Wands. We have the Three of Coins. This is where I was getting the work energy with that Three of Coins. But I'm also looking at the fact that Venus is in your eighth house. The next eclipse is going to be in your eighth house. So that's going to go into the financials, the investments, and the work. But you can be making certain decisions now. You can be forced to be making certain decisions now with the Page of Wands and the Fool card to start something now that, again, you're not necessarily going to be able to fully devote your time to, that you're going to be fully able to connect to. But it's going to be something that needs to happen based off of the rest of things at hand. So we have the Magician card, the Strength card, and the Hierophant. We're not quite done because we have one more card, like I said. So certain news tied to another person, tied to family, can start to really put some additional pressure and strengthen the way that we see certain types of traditions, given that Jupiter's in that fourth house of home life, family, roots, ancestry, and mothers, family, mothers, matrons. And some of you have some type of ideal of what we want to follow, but that doesn't necessarily make this ideal correct with the Hierophant. With the Strength card and the Magician kind of following, we can have some pushes towards strength. And a lot of I think it's interesting, a lot of the signs got the Strength card, actually. So knowing that element, there is some type of additional news, some type of additional information, some type of judgment that comes through that will test your tenacity, that will test your endurance. It tests your strength, some additional pressure that's coming through within the family, within the home life, because of legal matters, because of financial matters, that is going to test the strength and your tenacity. And some of you, you're going to do well. You're going to be fine. It's going to be okay. Six of Cups energy. You're going to be able to find some level of personal happiness in the matter. It's going to work out for you in the long run, just maybe not so much in the immediate. In the immediate, it feels like stress. It feels like tension. It feels like something that has been unveiled around you that's definitely impacting you, that you were not planning on it being even a thing. Like you were not planning on whatever starts to unfold next. Now, over the lunar month ahead, so full moon to full moon, so the full moon in Pisces to the full moon in Aries, you guys will start to be making a lot of changes around you. And you'll be making certain decisions to change some things around you to be able to focus on the financial things that are going to matter later, to whatever you need to start focusing on in your assets later. But that later is exactly that. It's later. It's not in the immediate. But many of you are going to feel some need to change something within. Some of you, that change is going to be healing something tied to roots, tied to mothers, tied to your home life, your relationship with your mom, your relationship as a mom. There's something here that's starting to unfold. And between now and October 9th, there will be something that turns. And if we've been resistant of something within the home life, within the family, I don't want to take care of mom. I don't want this extra responsibility. I don't want you moving into my house. I don't want this thing to happen. What you might find yourself doing is in the next month is adjusting your budget to allow for exactly that to happen, whether you like it or not. Okay. So I don't get real heavy on the closings of the full moon and new moon episodes. So I love and appreciate every single one of you. Don't forget, like I said, I'm doing a flash sale and I'm only announcing that here on this podcast episode. I will email one blast out to existing clients just to let everybody know, but you have to book that reading by Sunday. And I'm not going to announce this on any other episode. So I love and appreciate every single one of you. I'll talk to everybody very, very soon. Subscribe.